Jim is from The Gathering. He's going to explain what The Gathering is. All of us have some idea what it's all about, but by the end of this presentation, we'll know everything there is to know about The Gathering. It's going to be the best presentation you've ever heard, and you'll be absolutely full of knowledge. So without any pressure whatsoever, would you please welcome Jim Miley.
Thanks very much, Sean. How do you follow that, huh? Great to see so many people out at this hour of the evening. When I looked around first, I thought maybe I was in the wrong month, that maybe it was already the 3rd month of September and that Kerry were celebrating something again. But it's fantastic to see so many people out. My job really is just to briefly give you an overview. I'm not going to spend very long at it because really the main bit of work this evening rests with yourselves. And we want to get into that as soon as we can. So to start us off, we have a short video which in truth probably tells you more about The Gathering than I'm going to tell you in the 5 minutes afterwards. But this is just a short video with some music that I think gives you, in a visual and in an audio sense, gives you a sense of what The Gathering is about.
Be part of it. Visit thegatheringireland.com to find out how to organise or take part in your own gathering.
So the last time we played that in Ennis on Monday night, the volume was so loud that it nearly blasted everyone out of the room. I think tonight the volume was the other way. You probably, it could have been a little higher, but you get a sense of it, I think, anyway. What I want to do in the next 5 or 10 minutes is just take you briefly through what The Gathering is, the idea behind it. I think, as many of you know, the idea grew from the Farmley conference a couple of years ago as part of, I suppose, the response to the challenge of getting the country out of the difficulties it's in. And really, it's a very simple idea. It's about taking an opportunity of trying to create new ways or new magnets to attract people into the country, and then to push that out as hard as we can to the people overseas and to particular groups of people. As we all know, we have a huge diaspora all over the world. You probably can't see those figures, but if you add them all up together, I'm told there are 78 million people who have some sort of Irish blood in them, and there's probably as many more who wish they were Irish and who would like to come here. So there's no shortage of connections abroad, and really The Gathering is all about connections. And it's not as if we're doing anything new. You know, people here in the room, I think people all over Kerry and all over the country have been making connections for decades back, both from a business and from a personal point of view. But what The Gathering is trying to do is, I suppose, first of all, trying to do that together in 1 year, and also trying to make new connections that, you know, it may be, you know, in my own case, I have 15 or 16 first cousins in the United States, the vast majority of whom I've never met. And we've been saying as a family for years, wouldn't it be great if we brought them home, like you all would. We are next year having a family reunion up in Roscommon, and I'm currently trying to inveigle various members of my family to get stuck in, and we'll invite them home and we'll have a party. I suppose we're describing a gathering as any collection of 2 people or more, one of whom is from overseas. I mean, so it might be you inviting an old school pal that went away 20 or 30 years ago and that you haven't seen, an old friend, a cousin, an uncle, whatever it is. It may be a much larger event, 100, 1,000, 5,000 people, an event that has the capacity to attract that kind of people. So we're really saying to people, individuals and communities and groups and organisations in Ireland, we're saying, can you organise a gathering that will attract people from overseas? And that may be an existing event that you create a new dimension to, that has that capacity to pull people in from abroad, or it may be a new event. The second thing we're asking people to do is to invite people, because I suppose, as we all know, whether it's a wedding or a birthday party or a communion party, if you don't invite people, nobody will actually come. And the invitation we're talking about is it's not the ad in the paper or the radio ad. We'll be doing some of that as well, and Fáilte Ireland and Tourism Ireland, and indeed Kerry Tourism have been doing that over the years. But it's about making that extra effort to make the special personal invitation that'll back up that advertising and marketing. And then for the Irish overseas, or the people with whom we have the connections overseas, we're saying, we want them to respond to the invitation, and obviously we want them to come and enjoy the various events. So, who should be involved? Well, this is, I think, anything from businesses. We already have businesses. For example, the head of SPAR Europe, a man called Gordon Campbell, has responded to the gathering, and he's pitched for and won the internal SPAR tender to bring the corporate golf classic to Ireland next year. So he's taken 270 golfers to Killarney for 6 days. That's something that's happening as a result of the gathering and of an Irishman who is involved in it. So it may be businesses, it may be families, it could be school reunions, universities who have vast alumni around the world, tourism providers, obviously hotels, restaurants and vendors, clubs. It could be a GAA club. Who will try to attract a club in from overseas. And already we have the GAA at a national level on board, and they're organising an international club competition in the second week of August 2013. That'll be announced in a number of weeks' time, and it's expected that we'll get some thousands of people coming in and spreading themselves around the country and then converging on Croke Park for a finale to it. But I suppose most of all, it's you is what the gathering is about. So it's about, you and me as individuals. What can we do to help, whether it's in a very small way or in a more significant way, to ourselves and to our communities. But you won't be on your own. And you may not be able to read all this at the back, but really, I suppose, the important bit is this here. We have now appointed to the County Managers Association, we have a gathering coordinator, and John Griffin is the coordinator here in Kerry, appointed in every county in the country. And forming around those coordinators, we have a steering group, or if you like, a coalition of interests, and that's made up of people in the trade, it's people from voluntary organisations, be it sport, or music, or culture, Ceoltas, whatever. And that steering group, I suppose, is acting as the spark that's trying to drive it forward in each county. But then it goes down to community level, so the local groups, it might be a bridge club who want to invite a club from the UK or elsewhere to come and have a bridge tournament. Anything you like, any kind of a group can respond to this. And I suppose the supports that are there through the Gathering website has the capacity to act as a communications tool out to the world. So each event, when the new version of the site goes live in September, each event that's organised will have its own page on the website, and we'll be helping to promote it. The gathering itself is not a grant giving body. We don't have funds to give out grants. There are there are funds available through other sources. Fáilte Ireland has both a national and a regional grants fund for some larger festivals, and I know county councils and leader groups already fund tourism initiatives at a local and community level, and a number of those are specifically earmarking the gathering as a vehicle through which they want to channel some funds next year. But outside of the funds, I mean, this is, I suppose, about communities and organisations getting together and supporting each other in order to run those events. So in terms of what's happening, there's a number of headline events. So we're organising a number of key events. There's a choral event that we probably won't be ready to announce it for a couple of months. But it will have a strong local dimension with local choirs around the country, and then a major national event. But then there are that middle group of existing festivals, so be it a local county festival, the Rose of Tralee, the Bloom Festival, St. Patrick's Day Festival, all of these big festivals are actively working on creating a gathering dimension. So it may be an extra day in the festival or an extra activity or event around the festival. But then I suppose it's the local gatherings, I think, where we see the real difference, because I think that's where people have an opportunity to themselves work up, and it's what we're about here tonight, work up ideas and plans for smaller gatherings. And again, it might be backing onto an existing local activity or festival and creating a new dimension that will have the capacity to bring in people from overseas. And you know, another support that's available is Ireland Reaching Out, whom some of you will be aware of. This is an initiative that started in Galway over the last couple of years. And really what they do is they go in with local communities and they build a diaspora database. So they mine the local school records, they work with the community to do this. They mine the church records, the births and so on. And they create that, they build all that into a website and create, if you like, an active database of people from a community or a parish that now live overseas. And that database can then be used. One of the things they do is they do a week of welcomes. They ran the first series last autumn in South Galway. They were quite successful. And that week of welcomes is a very local series of events where you try and just bring people from the parish back into the parish. And again, Ireland Reaching Out are now trying to push out into another 10 or 15 counties, including Kerry, and we're working as a partner with them to help support the gathering during the year. To finish up, I suppose, I know that you all will have wonderful ideas coming through tonight, but just to give you a small sample of some ideas that came through from we've had a number of these meetings already. And you know, the first one there on the list is an international vets gathering, and I'll tell you how that came about. This man here with the beard, Jerry Brown, is a retired vet in Roscommon. He's also chairman of the Roscommon Lamb Festival, which is a very successful local festival that runs for 4 or 5 days. With maybe 5,000 or 10,000 people attending. Jerry's idea and the Lamb Festival people is that the first ever female vet that worked in either Ireland or the UK worked in Roscommon in the 1880s or 1890s, a woman called Audrey Curt. So they're going to have a female vets convention in Roscommon in 2013 to honour the memory of Audrey Curt, and they're spreading the word out to vets, particularly female vets, worldwide. And I suppose, and they're going to back that into the Lamb Festival. So that's an example, I suppose, of taking an existing activity or event and creating a new dimension to it. There's a number of others. I mean, there was a very simple one from Ennis the other night, which was from Clare to here, a Clare gathering in Clare, as in using Facebook and social media to create a festival of Clares, as in people who are called Clares, either their first name or their second name, which is a very simple idea, but someone's gone off to have a look and see can they make that work. So lots of other ideas, but you know, I think as in everything Kerry does, we have absolutely no doubt that tonight the ideas coming from Kerry will surpass anything we've heard to date. So I suppose the message for the gathering is very simply to be part of it, and tonight is the start of that opportunity to be part of it. So now I'm going to hand over to Gary Joyce, who's she's sitting very demurely there on the chair, but actually she has a whip there to whip you all into shape and to get you working for the night. Gary will explain to you how we're going to run the evening, and will then take you through it over the next hour and a half or so. And I think my experience of these events today is, apart from being very useful and great to generate ideas and plans, they're also very enjoyable. So enjoy your evening.
So I don't really have a whip. Anyway, you're all very welcome and delighted to see so many people here this evening. We're here tonight to generate lots and lots of ideas, and I'm sure you've come with ideas. I'm not from Kerry myself, I'm from Galway, but Kerry is famous for explorers and sports people and arts and music and culture and a fantastic landscape, but I'd say that the Connemara landscape is better, just to my own roots. But what we and football, of course.